Hey everybody, I'm Mike with pinkbike.com. Welcome to your next installment of Tech Tuesdays. For this installment, I'm going to run you through how to fix the most common mechanical on a bike, a flat tire. Fixing a flat tire is a relatively simple job that only requires a few tools. However, I'm going to show you a couple tricks that'll make it even easier. You're only going to need a few tools to do it: tire lever, a pump, and obviously a new tube. First things first, obviously you're going to need to remove the wheel from your bike. The next thing you want to do is let any remaining air pressure out of it. That'll make it easier to get the tire off. Now that you've let all the remaining air out of the tire, you'll need to unseat the bead from the rim in order to remove it. In order to do this, grab the tire with both hands and roll it over the rim, just like this, in both directions. Do this all the way around until the entire tire is free from the rim. You know the tire is unseated when you can see a gap between it and the rim. Now that the tire is unseated from the rim, you're going to use your tire lever to remove one side of it from the wheel. A basic tire lever has a spoon shape on one end and a hook on the other. The spoon is shaped to grab underneath the bead to be able to pry it up over the rim wall, and the hook is made to hook onto a spoke to free your hand up. The next step is to take your tire lever, take the spoon end, put it underneath the bead, and pry it up over the rim wall, and the hook end underneath the spoke. Depending on how tight your tire fits on your rim, you may find it easier to put another tire lever in. The next step is to take your other tire lever and put it in on the opposite side, making sure to start close to the lever that's already in there. When enough of the tire bead is free of the rim, you'll be able to take your tire lever and slide the rest off easily. When you're moving your tube, make sure you keep it in the same relation to the tire if you're unsure of what caused your flat. By adding air to your removed tube, you'll be able to find the hole and in turn reference it with your tire. This will show you whereabouts the offending object or puncture originated. It's always best to find out exactly what caused your flat tire in order to prevent punctures from the same reason down the road. Now that we've figured out what caused our flat, it's time to put a new tube in. When starting with the new tube, be sure to put a couple pumps of air pressure in it. This will give it some shape and prevent it from being pinched during installation. When installing a new tube, push the valve stem through the rim first, and then work your way around. Even though we don't have the tire all the way installed yet, I'm going to screw on the valve cap simply to keep the valve stem from being pulled up through the rim as I install the rest of the tire. The next step is the tricky part. We're going to reinstall the tire. Starting at the valve stem, use your thumbs to push the tire bead over the rim wall all the way around until it becomes too tight to push on. What you're left with is a section of tire that's too tight to push up and over the rim wall. I'm going to show you how to get this on without having to use tools. Starting at the valve stem, pinch the bead together and force it down into the rim well in order to get the most amount of slack at the tightest spot. To free up as much space as possible, make sure that the tire bead isn't caught on the thick rubber around the valve stem. In order to do that, take your valve stem, push it up while pushing the bead down. When you're done, pull the valve stem back down. It may take a few tries to get all the slack where you need it, but when done right, you should be able to push the bead up and over the rim wall with just your thumbs. The last step before you add air is to make sure that the tube hasn't been pinched between the rim and the tire. In order to do that, you're going to push the tire to the side and make sure you don't see any tube in between the rim and the tire. Do this all the way around on both sides of the wheel. If you don't see any tube, you're ready to add air. Now that you've got your new tube installed, you're ready to add air and hit the trails. Thanks for watching this installment of Tech Tuesdays.